Last year's NBA finalists are both in a 1-0 hole, but whose hole is deeper? From the Pubco Studios at Britain and Broadway, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is the NBA and OKC with Mike Baldwin. Mike, the defending champion Boston Celtics, and the Lakers both open the conference semifinals with losses at home. Now, these are 7-game series, Mike, and there's a long way to go. And the Celtics did the same thing against the Bulls, and what turned out to be one of the best series in a long time. It's debatable whether it's the best of all time. But which of these two finalists from last year is in more trouble right now?
Well, it's got to be the Boston Celtics just because they don't have KG. We've known that ever since the end of the regular season, that this isn't the same team that won the title last year. I wrote last Sunday about which of the teams between the Spurs, the Hornets, the Celtics, and the Pistons has the best chance of making a run again next year, because all four of them obviously weren't even close this year. And it's the Celtics with KG. But if he doesn't return, and it doesn't look like he will, I see Orlando winning this series. It was going to be a dicey matchup, as it was even if Kevin Garnett played. Orlando's given them all they wanted throughout the regular season. It would have been a great series, but I see them being in trouble. But Houston winning makes that series very interesting. I thought the Lakers and Cavs would both just cruise to the finals. At worst, maybe go 5-6 game series. This one could go all the way to 7 because they are a tough matchup defensively for the Lakers. And for some reason, the Lakers look like a team that either is not motivated, out of gas. Even against Utah, they didn't bring their A game. And if they don't bring their A game, they may get upset. But it'll be interesting to see how this series develops, because that one could be really interesting.
Okay, let's stay with the Celtics Magic for a minute. Which will have a bigger impact on this series? The Celtics' advantage in the backcourt or Dwight Howard's dominance inside?
Well, Perkins can help against Dwight Howard some, and he's not just a prolific scorer like some of the other centers in the league. But as you saw, they were blocking shots, altering shots right away. It keeps them out of the lane a little more. And I think the Magic's outside game's not too bad themselves. They lead the league in three-point attempts and shots made. When their three-point game's on, they can play with anybody. When they're off, they're vulnerable. But I think it's a little bit neutral, but I really like Orlando in this series just because they can do both. And right now, Boston's a little hamstrung, especially defensively.
Okay, switching over to the Lakers. Kobe Bryant needed 31 shots to score 32 points. Which was more of a factor, the sore throat that he had that kept him out of practice, or the bad case of the Shane Battiers that he came down with?
Well, their defense all along, they were talking some trash for the series started, and everybody said, well, we'll see, it's Kobe Bryant. Kobe has these kind of games. I'm sure the sore throat and all that affected him some, but part of it was the defense, and that's what's going to make this series interesting is how well will Kobe handle them. And they got Gasol, they got Bynum, they got Ariza. Just go down the line. Other guys that can score. Phil Jackson's going to go back and take this tape and diagram it and say, hey, there's got to be other ways to score, because they were having difficulty getting good looks last night, especially early in the game when Houston took control early in the game. They kept trying to fight back but never could quite get over the hump.
Battier says he did get 30, so there's a room for us to improve. But here's the thing the Rockets did, Mike. They kept Kobe from getting to the rim. They kept him off the free throw line, and they shut down the three-point arc. There aren't that many teams that can do all three of those things, especially to the Lakers.
And that's why I think this is going to be an interesting series. They did make some adjustments when they made those 2 runs to get back in the game. The Lakers did. I think that's what you're going to see them try to do the rest of the series. There's going to have to be more cutting, more passing. I think it'll open up a few more three-pointers, but Houston did a fabulous job, and give them credit in Game 1. But it is a 7-game series. Let's see how it plays out.
Okay, Mike, tonight it's the Nuggets-Mavericks Game 2. Here's the question. Has Chris Anderson, who was obviously the Birdman and the crowd favorite in Oklahoma City, New Orleans, and wherever else he's played, has he become the X factor in this series?
He might be. He's going to make himself a lot of money. Remember, he took the league minimum after being suspended for the drug suspension for 2 years. Some people said your career's over. He's even referred to that in some of the stories we've seen. Everybody counted me out, and all it did was motivate me. Well, I think he is, if not second, third in the league in blocks behind Dwight Howard all season. It's not just a one series you saw last week against the Spurs and some of these others. This guy's been doing this all season, that he's very athletic inside. He does prevent the Mavericks from – they didn't have a dominant inside game to begin with, but he takes away that. It allows everybody to push out more on the Jason Terrys and Dirk Nowitzki's. I think he's a big factor. Him and Nene both, I think, are big-time inside. I didn't think they'd have a shot at the Lakers if they face the Lakers, but they're playing the best. Of all the teams in the playoffs right now, Denver is playing the best. Is that enough to make a further run? I don't know. Dallas was playing well against the Spurs, but the Spurs were like a wounded animal, and we'll find out about them. But I'll be stunned if Nuggets don't advance.
Well, it's interesting, Mike, because forever we've said there's no D in Denver, the Denver Nuggets. Now all of a sudden, because the Birdman is back there as a shot blocker and just an energy guy. Like you said, they got Chauncey Billups to key their defense at the point. All of a sudden, Carmelo Anthony has become an enthusiastic defender. They've got all kinds of depth coming off the bench. That's the transformation of the Nuggets. That's why I think the Mavericks are in big trouble, and I wonder if it just all starts with our man, Chris Anderson, the Birdman.
There's no question he's been a big factor on this team all season long. And remember, this is a guy off the bench. This isn't a starter. That's what really takes you to the next level. Your starting five is almost always going to play well. I don't care if you're one of the worst teams in the league. It's those guys with depth. And now he's in games late in games. He's replacing some of those starters at key moments, especially if they need a defensive stop. Without question, he's had an impact on that team and this series.
Finally, Mike, it's the Hawks-Cavaliers, and that series starts tonight. My question to you, does this series have anything to offer us from an entertainment value beyond the freshly minted MVP?
I really don't think so. I mean, Atlanta and Miami was a close series. None of the games were good. I think I heard there's only like 0 lead changes after the first quarter in any of the 7 games compared to the Celtics-Bulls, to where there were 1 million lead changes and 1 million overtimes. So it didn't entertain us. Hopefully the Hawks will at least push the Cavs, but I just don't see it. I'll be surprised if the Cavs don't get rid of them within 5 games. And the one thing we didn't bring up on the Lakers series, did they have a little rust after getting rid of Utah early? That would be my biggest fear with Cleveland getting out of the East, because I think they'll get through this series pretty easy, while Orlando-Boston might go a little bit further and they might get a little rust to them. But right now, Cleveland looks like a really good bet to get to the finals, probably against the Lakers, but Houston and Denver are showing, maybe not so quick. So it may be a little more entertaining on the West than I thought it would be, while I think the Cavs will cruise in the East.
Okay, thanks, Mike. That's all for the NBA and OKC, but you can stay with the best coverage team every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman.